For the first time, a man who sat in the cockpit of Kim Jong-un's personal aircraft is speaking on camera, and what he reveals dismantles decades of assumptions about life inside North Korea's ruling class. This isn't a story of poverty and famine. It's something far more disturbing. A system that weaponizes privilege itself, turning loyalty into a trap. Kim Seong-hoon spent years flying heads of state across Russia, China, and Vietnam until the regime made him an offer he couldn't survive accepting. For more exclusive testimonies, subscribe and become part of our investigative community. I was born in Chongjin, North Hamgyong Province, not the city center, a mining village far from everything. My father went down into the dark every morning before dawn. My mother worked the collective farm. We were poor. Winters meant sleeping under layers of blankets, in a house that barely held heat. White rice only appeared on holidays. Cornmeal porridge was what kept us going. I had one younger brother, 3 years behind me. He died at 20 in a mining accident. My father's lungs gave out from decades underground. He was gone before he turned 50. I was 25, but I could study. My teachers took notice. Seong-hoon has a sharp mind. He has to go to university. At 17, I was recommended for the Korean People's Army Air Force. That recommendation changed everything. I trained as a pilot. The first time I took the controls, my hands trembled not from fear, but from something I'd never felt before. The sky opened up. At 30, that ability earned me a transfer to the Special Flight Unit, the equivalent of flying the head of state. I was given party-level treatment. I moved to Pyongyang. Pyongyang was more than I'd imagined. A high-rise apartment on Changjeon Street elevator, hot water, all of it. For a boy from a Chongjin mining village, it felt like stepping into a dream. I actually made it here, I thought. At 35, I was cleared to fly the Supreme Leader's personal aircraft. Russia, China, Vietnam, duty-free goods at foreign airports, foreign currency and my pocket privileges unthinkable to ordinary North Koreans. My wife, Moran, had been a dancer with the Moranbong band. She grew up in the countryside near Sariwon, Hwanghae Province. A farmer's daughter like me. She was recruited to the Pyongyang Art School at 17 because she danced better than anyone they'd seen. We met at 30 and married. Our daughter came soon after. Our daughter attended the Pyongyang Foreign Language Institute, English, Russian. When I asked what she wanted to be, she said, "A pilot, like Dad." Those words settled somewhere deep in my chest. I was happy. A poor miner's son, and I had climbed to this. I was genuinely grateful to the system, loyal without a flicker of doubt. On weekends, we strolled the Taedong River Park. Holiday meals meant white rice and meat. I sent money to my mother, still in Chongjin. This, I told myself, is what a good life looks like. Then one night, everything broke open. It was autumn of 2017. I put our daughter to bed and walked into the bedroom. Moran was sitting on the edge of the mattress, crying. "What's wrong? What happened?" Her voice barely held together. "I've been keeping something from you." That was the moment my life began to crack. She couldn't speak for a while. Then she did. When I was with the Moranbong band, there were things I never told you. I took her hand. "Take your time." After performances, officials would call us in, said it was a dinner. At first I thought that's all it was. Her voice dropped. They told us to pour the drinks. Sit beside them. If you refused, you were off the stage the next day. My chest went cold. And one dancer held the line refused every time. Her father lost his job. Her brother was barred from university. The whole family was branded politically suspect. Moran's grip on my hand tightened. I thought of my parents, farmers in the countryside. I couldn't drag them into that. "So you endured it." My voice wasn't steady. She nodded. I smiled. I danced. I performed happiness every night. But at home alone I cried. Every night. My fists were clenched. The people I had served, the officials I had flown, they had done this. Why didn't you tell me sooner? And then what? You're inside the same system. Say a word and the whole family pays. She was right. In North Korea, the one who reports is punished harder than the one being reported. I'm sorry. She was crying again. But there's something else. More. What? He found me again. What? Last week, at the performance hall. The official who did that to me, he's risen even higher now. Her face drained of color. He smiled at me. Said, "You remember what we had? I hear your husband flies the Supreme Leader's plane. Perfect timing. We could use his help." What kind of help? Smuggling goods on foreign runs. She drew a long breath, and he said I should meet him. Sometimes. He made sure I understood what happens if I say no. My mind went blank. This was blackmail. Her past weaponized against us. A lever to move our entire family wherever they wanted. Stay quiet and we look the other way. Your daughter's still at that language school, isn't she? Nice school. If you'd like it to stay that way. The words came out of Moran's mouth wrapped in dread. I didn't sleep that night. Everything I had built my loyalty on was shifting underfoot. The greatest nation in the world, that's what we were told. For the people, that's what they claimed. Neither was true. I finally understood what our privilege was built on. The high-rise apartment. The foreign currency. Our daughter's school. All of it rested on someone else's suffering. And now we were the targets. I needed to protect my wife and daughter. But there was no mechanism in this country for that. Refuse and the family disappears. Comply and we become their property forever. We can't protect this family here. That morning I said it plainly to Moran. Not in this country. She looked straight at me. Then what do we do? I had no answer yet. But one thing had become unmistakable. We couldn't go on like this. A week later, something happened that removed every last doubt. Word came through the unit Captain Choi was gone. 5 years my senior. We had flown together for 15 years. He missed morning roll call. Wasn't at home. His family had vanished too. Comrade Choi has been removed from the organization due to ideological deficiencies. The political officer's voice was flat. No elaboration. We didn't ask. Asking was its own form of suspicion. Days later, rumors settled into fact. A political prison camp. His wife and 2 sons taken with him. The charge? Ideological deficiencies. No details. Just that phrase. That night I woke drenched in sweat, heart hammering. I dreamed of being taken. Miran and our daughter too. I lay there watching her sleep and a single thought wouldn't leave. We could be next. Any day. Captain Choi had been more skilled than me. More decorated. More loyal. And he vanished overnight. That was the country we were living in. A month later, a Beijing run came through. Official business. One night in a hotel. Security posted outside my door, but the room itself was mine alone. I turned on the TV, something you couldn't do in North Korea. Flipping through Chinese channels, South Korean news appeared. My pulse jumped the reflex of someone watching something forbidden. Seoul at night. Lights blazing in every direction. People walking freely, laughing. An anchor discussing economic growth. Figures that bore no relation to anything I knew. Is this real? I said it out loud to no one. I kept watching. A drama. Ordinary people driving cars, scrolling phones, loading groceries into carts. Everything we had been taught pointed to a South Korea crushed under American imperialism, its people living in misery. But the faces on screen were light, unburdened. The next morning I slipped into a bookstore near the hotel. Away from the security detail, a world map hung on the wall. North Korea was a small dark mark. We had been taught we were the greatest nation on earth. The map told a different story. South Korea, top 10 economy, democratic state. I stared at those words until they blurred. On the flight back to Pyongyang, 3 things kept circling Captain Choi's disappearance. Moran's confession. The world I had just glimpsed through a hotel TV. I got home and waited for our daughter to fall asleep. Then I told Moran. I watched South Korean news. In Beijing, the color left her face. Are you insane if they find out? I know. But I watched it. And I understood something. I held her hands. What they've taught us all of it, it's a lie. I want our daughter to grow up in that world. She went still. Then slowly, I've thought about it too. If she stays here, she'll become what I became. Or worse, we held each other without speaking. Terrified. But something had shifted, we couldn't look away from it anymore. 3 months later, the fear became real. Summer 2018. Moran was summoned by the Ministry of State Security. Re-examination of past conduct, my stomach dropped. Investigations by state security rarely end well. It's fine. I haven't done anything wrong. She smiled, but her eyes gave her away. 3 hours later, she was back. Clothes wrinkled. A handprint across her cheek. Her lips split and bleeding. Miran. I crossed the room and held her. What did they do? She shook for a long time before she could speak. They asked about the officials. From the Moranbong days. Who, when, where, what. They have records of everything. She grabbed my collar. They're not investigating me. They're building leverage. Our daughter came home from school. Just then took one look at her mother's face and froze. Mom, are you hurt? I'm fine, sweetheart. Moran pulled her close, smiling through it. But a 10-year-old knows. The room knew. Days later, our daughter came home crying. "Dad, the kids said I'm weird." They said Mom's a bad person. She buried her face against me. The teacher looks at me differently now. What did I do wrong? Something tore open in my chest. An innocent child paying for her parents. In North Korea, guilt flows downward through children, through generations. Her future was already being decided for her. Then the final piece fell into place. A week later, the ministry officer called me in. We met in the unit office. He sat across from me smoking. "Comrade Kim, I hear there's been some trouble at home." "Nothing serious, comrade. Your wife's history is a bit complicated." The Moranbong years. He smiled slowly. "We have a complete picture. Who she met. When. What happened." My hands were still in my lap. "But if Comrade Kim cooperates, we can look the other way. You're a patriot. This is simply what patriots do." He slid a document across the desk. "When you fly abroad, pass along some information. Carry a few items. Simple enough." "What kind of items?" "The kind that serve our nation." Surely that's not too much for someone who calls himself loyal. His expression shifted, the warmth gone entirely. "You've seen what happened to Captain Choi. A demand for espionage. Refuse and my family disappears like Choi's. Comply and we become their instruments forever. I'll think it over. Take all the time you need. 1 week." He stood. I expect a sensible answer. Walking home, my legs barely held me. Inside, Moran was setting the table. Our daughter was bent over homework. An ordinary evening, warm, domestic, unaware. 1 week and it would all be over. After our daughter was asleep, I told Moran everything. 1 week. Then I have to give them an answer. Agree or we run. She finished the sentence before I could. I nodded. She looked at our daughter's door. She can't grow up like this. Not the way I did. Not worse. I looked too. She was sleeping. Her face peaceful and open in the way only a child's face can be. The thought of what waited for her inside this system, I couldn't hold it. We could die trying. I couldn't say more than that. "I know. We go anyway." She took my hand. "How?" "There's a flight to Vladivostok next month. I break away at the airport, go straight to the South Korean consulate. You and our daughter leave separately through a broker, across the Tumen into China." I had been quietly working this out for days. I got a contact in Beijing. On the last run. Will it work? I don't know. I pulled her close. "But if we stay, the three of us die slowly. Together." Neither of us slept that night. From that point on, I lived 2 lives. During the day, a loyal pilot. Laughing with colleagues, drinking after shifts. Sitting straight through political study sessions. I told the ministry officer I would cooperate. Keeping them calm was the only way to buy time. At night, the escape. On the first Beijing trip, I slipped away from security and found the broker, a Korean-Chinese man running a small restaurant. The sweat on my back never dried the whole time I was gone. $30,000 per route, he said quietly. "Your wife and daughter take the train to North Hamgyong province. Our people will get them across the Tumen River. How safe is it?" "Nothing is guaranteed, but we've moved 30 people through successfully." He wrote a number on a scrap of paper. "Call this when you reach China. We'll have somewhere for them to go." $30,000. Every dollar I had saved over a decade of foreign runs. Everything. On the Vladivostok runs, I memorized the route from the airport to the South Korean consulate. 15 minutes by taxi. 40 on foot. 2-hour layover window. That was the gap. At home, I played the part. Helping with homework, eating dinner together, watching TV. But after our daughter fell asleep, Moran and I planned in whispers. "When do we tell her?" Moran asked. "We don't. She might let something slip." It hurt to say. "Tell her we're visiting her grandmother in North Hamgyong province." The hardest part was my mother. She was still in Chongjin. I visited her one last time, a month before the flight. "You come so often now. You must be busy." She was pleased. "I just wanted to see your face." My throat closed. I knew what this was. "My Seong Hun? What a good son." She held my hand. I went to my father's grave that day. My brothers, too. Knelt and bowed. "Father, I'm sorry. Your unworthy son has to leave. I can't survive here any longer." I held back the tears. "Brother, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm trying to save what's left." I walked through the old neighborhood. The alley where I ran as a boy. The road to school. Each detail sharp and permanent. I wouldn't see any of it again. I cried the entire train ride back to Pyongyang. Passengers looked. I didn't care. The night before departure, I held my daughter for a long time. "Dad, you're being weird." She laughed. You're just so beautiful. I breathed her in. I wouldn't let myself think about what came next. Moran and I held each other without words. If this works, I'll contact you. The Chinese number. I pressed a folded paper into her hand. If a month passes with nothing, don't. She covered my mouth. Come back to us. We'll be right behind you. Don't let go of her hand at the river, whatever happens. I know. You be careful. Neither of us slept. May 15, 2019, before dawn. The car to Pyongyang Sunan Airport. I turned back once. Miran and our daughter were at the window waving. We'll meet again. We have to. I settled into the captain's seat. The control column felt wrong in my hands. They were trembling. My co-pilot glanced over. You all right, Captain? Didn't sleep much. I'm fine. Engines on. Runway. Clearance from the tower. Departing. The wheels left the ground. There was no going back. 3 hours in the air. The longest 3 hours of my life. 3 officials in the cabin behind me. 2 security escorts. Every one of them felt like a pair of eyes fixed on the back of my head. Coffee, Captain? A flight attendant appeared. No, I'm good. I didn't trust my hands around a cup. I stared at the instruments. Altitude, speed, heading. The numbers passed through me without landing. My mind ran the sequence on a loop land. 2-hour window. Bathroom. Out the window. Taxi. Consulate. My co-pilot said something about the weather. I answered. I don't know what I said. 90 minutes out, the shaking started. Vladivostok was close. Less than an hour. You can do this. You have to. Vladivostok Tower cleared to land. Confirmed. Landing. I kept my voice level. The wheels touched the runway. My heart was crashing against my ribs. This is it. This is where I run. We docked at the gate. Passengers filed out. Security swept the area first. I stayed in the cockpit, pretending to review paperwork. Captain Kim, 2-hour layover. Let's head to the lounge. The security officer leaned in. Go ahead. I need the bathroom first. I kept it casual. We can... It's right there. I'll grab a smoke on the way back. 2 minutes. A smile. My hands were steady somehow. I walked to the airport bathroom. Checked behind me, the officer had held back a comfortable distance. I went inside. Located the window. Small but enough. Now, I pushed through and dropped onto the tarmac behind the terminal. Low traffic. I walked fast, not running, not yet. Running draws attention. Parking lot. Taxis. I had rehearsed the Russian. I held out the address I had written down. Korean consulate. The driver nodded. The car moved. I checked behind us. Nothing yet. 5 minutes in, my phone went off. Unit number. I let it ring. It called again. I cut it. They know. Move. Faster, please. It's urgent. The Russian phrase I had memorized. He pushed harder on the accelerator. I watched the mirrors. Then a black car closing fast. North Korean diplomatic plates. Faster! The driver floored it. We ran lights. Behind us, a horn blaring. Stop, Comrade Kim! Korean. Out a window. The consulate appeared ahead. Korean flag catching the wind. There, that building. The taxi lurched to a stop. I threw cash and ran. The black car screeched in behind us. 20 meters to the gate. Kim Seong-hun, stop right there. I ran. 10 meters. 5. I hit the gate with both fists. Help me! I'm defecting! I'm Korean! I was screaming. The door opened. A guard stepped out. I'm from North Korea, please. I was already pushing forward. A hand seized my collar from behind. You, get inside. The guard yanked my arm. Something tore. I stumbled free. Fell forward across the threshold. The gate closed. I lay on the ground gasping. Outside shouting, open this door, return a citizen of the DPRK. Too late. I was inside the South Korean consulate. My knees gave way. I sank to the floor. The tears came without warning. I made it. Please, Moran, our daughter. A consulate official crouched beside me. Are you all right? Your name? Kim Seong-hun. My voice was somewhere else. I was a pilot. North Korea. Supreme Leader's personal aircraft. I looked up at him. Please help my family. My wife and daughter, they're coming. They'll make it too. That day, May 15, 2019. The day my life became unrecognizable. The 2 weeks in the consulate were their own kind of torment. Pyongyang demanded my return, pressed the Russian government, an illegally detained DPRK citizen. Every night, the same dream hands pulling me back. Consulate staff tried. You're safe. The Republic of Korea will protect you. I couldn't quite believe it. My whole life, South Korea had been the enemy. Will they actually hold the line for me? 2 weeks later, a police escort to Moscow. North Korean diplomats were waiting at the airport. They stared as I passed. Traitor, you've betrayed your country. The words stung not because they were right, but because those men were exactly where I had been, living inside the same faith. Someday maybe they'd understand what I finally had. Moscow. One night. Then a flight to Incheon. 2 South Korean government officials sat with me on the plane. You're safe now. You've been through a great deal. Hearing that, something in me let go and I wept. 10 hours later, Incheon Airport. May 18, 2019. I walked into the arrivals hall. The Korean flag. I saw it and my legs simply stopped working. I'm actually here. This is South Korean soil. Hanawon, the settlement center for North Korean defectors. 3 months. Korean society, how it works, how to move through it. But my mind never left Moran and our daughter. Did they make it out of Pyongyang? Did they cross the Tumen? Are they hidden somewhere in China? Every night I prayed. No religion, just the raw need to put something into the dark and hope it reached them. Please, let them be alive. A month in, a message came from a Chinese number. The broker. Family crossed the Tumen. Currently in safe location in China. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. They were alive. They were out. That night, for the first time, I slept. But safe in China wasn't the end. China to South Korea, the harder half. Miran and our daughter spent 2 months hidden in China. A Korean-Chinese family's attic, she told me later. Never once allowed outside. Chinese police catching a North Korean defector meant one thing: forced repatriation. Straight back. Those 2 months I was half out of my mind. Weekly check-ins with the broker. Still safe. Hold on. Our daughter had thought it was a trip at first. Mom, when are we going back to Pyongyang? Moran told her then. We're not going back. We're going to where your father is. Where's Dad? A free country. South. A 10-year-old can't fully process that. But she didn't break down. She held herself together. 2 months later, they moved Laos, then Thailand. August 2019, 3 months after I'd gone through that consulate window. Moran called me from the South Korean embassy in Bangkok. 3 months of silence and then her voice. It's me. Miran. I couldn't hold anything back. You're safe. Where's our daughter? Right here. She's healthy. We're both okay. She was crying too. What about you? I'm in Korea. I've been waiting. Just a little longer? We're coming. I sat with the phone pressed against my ear long after the line went dead. 1 week later, Incheon Airport arrivals hall. I couldn't look anywhere but that door. It opened. Moran came through holding our daughter's hand. Thin. Tired. But alive. Over here! My voice broke. She saw me. She ran. Our daughter ran. The 3 of us collided in the middle of that hall. People stared. I didn't notice. I'm sorry. You went through so much. I held Moran's head against my shoulder. So did you. Are we safe now? Really? Yes. This is our country now. Our daughter looked up. Dad, is this freedom? Yes. I pulled her in tighter. This is freedom. So the scary men won't come anymore? Never. Not here. I held her so she couldn't see my face. You can live however you choose. We walked out of the terminal into a summer evening. The wind was warm. Is this wind free too? She asked. I laughed for the first time in months. Yes. Free wind. 3 months apart. A reunion earned through something close to hell. We made it. All 3 of us. Together. And then a new life had to begin. Hanawon was disorienting in ways I hadn't expected. The language was the same and wasn't. Comrade became Mr. or Ms. The neighborhood committee leader became the community representative. Socialism became democracy. Same words, different world. The hardest thing was the internet. I had never touched a computer in North Korea. Everything there was controlled and rationed. Here, an instructor sat me down in front of a screen. Whatever you want to know, type it in. It'll come up. Anything? Anything. No censorship. I typed North Korea. Kim Jong-un's face appeared. Below it, comments mocking him, criticizing him openly. This is allowed? Of course. Freedom of expression. Freedom of expression. Those 3 words landed differently than they ever had before. After 3 months, we received settlement support and found a small apartment in Incheon, a 2-story villa, smaller than our Pyongyang apartment, but ours, freely. Our daughter enrolled in elementary school. The first weeks were rough. Her accent was different. Kids noticed. Mom, they said I talk weird, that I'm the North Korean kid. She came home in tears. It passes. Give it time. Miran held her. The teachers helped. A month in, she had friends. One afternoon, she burst through the door. Dad, the school lunch had meat today, and it was free. Something tightened in my throat. Meat on ordinary school days, not just holidays. Every day. Miran auditioned for a civilian dance company. They took her. I got in. She was radiant. The first genuine smile I had seen from her in years. Now you can dance because you want to. Nobody's forcing me. I choose it. She was glowing. That's what it feels like. I applied to a civilian airline. My flight hours were real, but my North Korean credentials weren't recognized. You'll need to recertify from the beginning. So that's what I'm doing. Studying for my license. Someday I'll fly again. This time under a free sky. I speak at schools now. Churches. Communities. People ask me to share what I lived through. Why did you risk your life to leave? Students ask. For this. I look around whatever room I'm in. The freedom you breathe without thinking, you don't know what it's worth. I lost everything to get here. My status, my parents, my home. I don't regret a day of it. 7 years in South Korea now. Our daughter's in middle school. Her Korean is flawless. She has friends everywhere. I asked her recently what she wants to be. A teacher, she said. In North Korea, that dream would have been decided for her by her songbun, her family's class background, closing doors she hadn't even reached yet. Here, she can want things and work toward them. That difference is the whole difference. Miran is a lead dancer now. I watched a performance recently and had to look away for a moment. She was so completely happy up there. Not performing happiness, actually living it. I still have nightmares. Being seized. Separated from my family. I wake up drenched. But then I hear Miran breathing beside me and I remember we're safe. This is a free country. What tears at me most is the family I left behind. My mother is still in Chongjin. What happened to her when they learned I had defected? Nights I lie awake and can't stop it. The questions that have no answers. Mom, I'm sorry. Your son had to go. I say it into the dark sometimes. But I saved your granddaughter. She's growing up free. If unification comes, if I live to see it, I want to go back to Chongjin, bow at my father's grave, bring my mother here. Will that day come? I want to say something to you directly. Freedom isn't free. I staked everything on it. My rank, my parents, my home, my country gone. And I have no regrets. Watching my daughter skip off to school every morning. Watching Miran dance because she chooses to. Sitting down to dinner together in the evening. That is enough. It has always been enough. In North Korea, the nights were dark. Real dark, the power never reached everywhere. Here, the city glows all night. Convenience stores open at 3 a.m. People walk freely in the small hours. Supermarket shelves full of things I've never seen. No ration card. No one watching. I voted. The first time my hand shook conditioned fear. The kind that doesn't just disappear. In North Korea, your ballot was always seen. Here, no one knows. That's what a secret ballot means. I cast a vote for the person I chose. Nobody's person mine. That is democracy. To those still living in North Korea, what you were taught is not true. The world outside isn't misery. It's full and free. Someday the truth will reach you. I hope it comes soon. And to South Korea, thank you. For taking in people like me. For giving us the ground to start over. I am proud to be a citizen of this country. A place where I breathe freely. Think freely. Dream freely. Long live the Republic of Korea.